Alrighty, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy White Album here, and welcome back to another episode of Witch on the Holy Night. Last time we left off, we had Sojo and the priest talking to each other, and it's found out that Alice and Aoko went to go fight Toko. So let's see if we could pick up on that battle today. And you already know me, I got my water going, trying to keep the whistle wet. And a block scene. What? It doesn't matter. Alright, so we are now on the next episode, which is Witch on the Holy Night Part 2. Let's get it started. The golden wolf's ears stood pointed, twitching in response to the sound around it. Its meal finished, it curled up into a ball in anticipation of nap time, and yawned, half from boredom. The old abandoned classroom had fulfilled its purpose many moons ago. For a month, the wolf had spent his time resting on top of a heap of disheveled desks. His name was Lou Beowulf. I think that's how you say that, at least. He was a purebred werewolf, named after the sun at his birthplace, a hero of legend upon leaving there. Hold on. I was trying to drink water, almost choked on ice. That's not a good way to start the video. Alright, there we go. It goes without saying he was not from this country. He came from a land deep within the European wilderness, surrounded by mountains and forests. His homeland was a realm no human had ever set foot in. In their isolated world forgotten by time, a diminishing race of werewolves lived in peace. This was where Bayo first appeared. In a cave on the outskirts of their village, the werewolves found a child bearing the same golden coat as their ancestors. The child was sleeping soundly as if in his natural habitat. The village welcomed their new member with open arms. 2,000 years of advancing civilization had been cruel to them. As the forests were destroyed, valleys unearthed, and waters polluted, their werewolf birth rate dwindled. They were now facing one birth a decade. Damn. One birth a decade? That's crazy. The child's golden coat deviating from the typical gray or white and shared by their ancestors. Wait, what? The child's golden coat deviating from the typical gray or white and shared only by their ancestors who were treated as gods felt like a sign their prayers had been answered. A bloodline in atrophy. The werewolves were focused to embrace change. This radiant child at least temporarily made them forget about their troubles. Alas, as time passed, their hopes turned to disappointment. The golden wolf was not their salvation. For some reason, Lou, that ray of golden sunshine, remained a child. Decades passed, and he still did not grow. Forever young, immortal, cursed. He searched the village for his birth mother, but to no avail. He searched the village for someone who understood his plight, but to no avail. Over hundreds of years, he came to realize something. He was different, very different. Neither male nor female. That's how, but we're calling him a he? Okay. Neither weak nor strong. Ignorant of life and death, joy and fear. That thing's a spirit, born of nature. Might look like us werewolves, but do not let that fool you. But the child himself needed not conjecture to know his own true nature. He was perfect, and therefore he was alone. To the golden werewolf, their world was too small. That was why. Indeed, that was the very reason. He wanted to know what life was. He wanted to know loss. If he was all-powerful, he needed to know the mystery behind his all-powerfulness. Because as it was, his existence was meaningless. The golden wolf was at a loss, as were the werewolves around him. They revered him, but at the same time wanted nothing to do with him. Lou moved back to the cave he was discovered in and resigned himself to a life of seclusion.
太陽のルー？ルーガルじゃなくて？
Lou? Like the sun god Lou? I thought it was short for Lou Garrow. I believe Garrow means wolf. turn up my game audio just a bit.
そりゃ面白い。偶然にしちゃできすぎだ。
Huh, that's one heck of a coincidence. And then one day, a quirky mage visited the village.
またガタガタとうるさい。トウコさんはあれだよね。派手好きなくせに豆だよね。
You're too loud, Miss Toko. Why do you have to be so dramatic all the time? From his place on the top of the rubble, Bayo peered into the hallway. He thought his fussy master was busy dealing with Misaki's ley lines, but she was engrossed in making traps. 1 month passed since they made the dilapidated building their makeshift workshop. Creating a new trap for intruders became a daily pursuit of Toko's.
安全を用意しておくなんて、他の生き物は大変だ。
You worry about your safety, but what about the other creatures? Having been like this since birth, knowing neither infancy nor dotage, he thought differently than others. For he was perfect from the day he was born, never declining, never improving. As such, he had no comprehension of weakness. Childlike, fickle, and without morals, he had no concept of good and bad as either a human or a wolf. A beautiful creature disconnected from the world around him, he was on top of all other creatures. Except with one exception, his master, Toko Alzaki. She showed him a sparkling delicious world, and all above, he found her scent refreshing. To him, the world was divided into what was cool and what was not. That's definitely a childlike thought, right? Or like demeanor. Your preference and leisure pursuits were of no consequence to him, and he never took gender into account. There you go. The only thing that mattered to him was whether a person's life was logical and therefore cool. Toko Ozaki had her faults, but she smelled good.
ベオ、昼食は済ませたか?
Finish your lunch, Bayo? Bayo's master entered the classroom, presumably done with her traps for the day.
夜が本番だ。それまであまり羽目を外すなよ。
It's showtime tonight. Just keep it together until then. Sometimes, like now, he would nag him, but on the whole, his master pleased him. In reality, the contract binding her to him was not particularly powerful. If he wanted to, he could tear her to pieces at any time. No human could restrain him. Well, she's technically a mage, but you know. However, he had no intention of killing Toko in exchange for his freedom. And there was a reason for this. In order to move about freely in human society, he needed someone like her. As long as she did not offend him, he had no reason to rock the boat. However,
やっと本番か。待たせすぎだよ、トウコさん。
finally, the main event. I was getting tired of waiting, Miss Toko. The promise she had made him in his cave, and the reality of their situation had begun to come apart at the seams.
来い。最高の神秘と戦わせてやる。
Come here. I'll let you fight the most powerful mystic there is. He was compliant up till now, but his patience was wearing thin. The fight with the newest magician last night was an enormous letdown.
そういうな。私も昨日は拍子抜けだったんだから。
Oh, hush. I was just as disappointed as you were.
いいけどね。実はあの子、使わないんじゃなくて、使えないだけじゃないの?
I'm not that bummed. But why won't the girl use it? Because she can't? His master's expression turned serious. Not in agreement at the wolf's question, though. For she had already asked herself the same and many other similar questions.
いや、使うぐらいなら死んだ方がマシなのかもな。
No. Because she'd be better off dying than use it, I suppose. Are they talking about Aoko's red hair? Is that her power-up? Is that like her second form? Because, dog, I've been waiting for that shit too, let's be honest here. But it makes sense if they're going to show it at the end of the game.
そんなバカなことがあるの？使わないと死んじゃう状態だったんだよ。
That doesn't make any sense. She almost died because she didn't use it.
だから、そんなバカな考えが成立するぐらい。
Which proves my point. That it must be too terrifying to use, Toko finished in her head. She stopped short of voicing it and chuckled at her emotional outburst.
どれほどのものか想像がつかないのは確かだ。
Sure, I can't even imagine what it must be.
だがまあ、根本は変わらないさ。魔法がどのような奇跡神秘の類であれ、魔術師である以上、青子に勝ち目はない。
Still, this changes nothing. Whatever sort of miraculous mystic her magic is, as long as she remains a mage, she can't win. With those words, Bayo's master walked out of the room, emphasizing that his role in all of this was to face Aoko only at that very moment.
魔法ね。
True magic, huh? The bored look in his eyes shifted. He recalled the taste of that girl, his long tongue sliding over his chainsaw-like fangs. Make no mistake, he would finish his meal. He was the oldest werewolf, the golden god of the forest. For as long as he could remember, no. From the moment he appeared, he had been the most powerful creature of all. All man-made mystics were trash before him. Magecraft was laughable, and mystic artificial miracles, which even surpassed that of superfluous, futile. Their very existence was an insult to him. Oh, see this type of guy? Is like, look, I am the perfect being, okay? Like, fuck, I watched a show that was like this. That the character was like this, and then obviously he got proven wrong at the end. Fuck, I want to know what that... I can't remember what that show was.
もちろん、そういう契約だし、ちゃんと平らげはするけれど。
I think it was a Common Rider, if I remember correctly. I don't know. After all, that was the deal. When the time comes, I dig right in. That was the extent of their pact. Once he had dealt with this so-called true magic, he was free. Oh, watch him get like a fucking nice little dose of reality. Like, hey, buddy. And they just gets deleted off the face of the earth. His eyes burned with the wolf inside of him. His fanged maw twisting into a sadistic, beastly grin. Episode 12, Witchontheholynight, Part 2. It was just past 7 p.m. Misaki High School's old building stood silently. While light from the city reached the area, the forest and mountains kept the area hushed. Nothing unusual. During winter vacation, the old building, now still covered in yesterday's snow, was rarely used. Without signs of life, such unused structures were mere monuments of what once was, nothing more. The old school building will remain the way until the start of the new semester. Behind it, the vast forest grew darker by the minute. The building had died in the... What? If the building had died in just under 2 weeks of vacation, what had become of forest over the years? Okay, I think that's just a weird translation, or I just can't read. One of the two. Probably the latter. The wall of overgrown trees filtered out the noise of the city, and most of the moonlight. An otherworldly realm had taken root, not even 2 miles away from town. Piercing the cold night air, footsteps crunched through the powdery snow.
この
Hey, it's
辺
the
りに
girls.
仕掛けはなさそうね。
No traps this way.
それでどうするの？このまま旧校舎に忍び込む？
So what's the plan? Sneak into the old school building?
まさか私らがやってきたことなんてとっくにバレてるわ。
Yeah, right. She already knows we're here.
隠れても意味はないし、何より敵のアジトに入ってどうするのよ。盗みが目的じゃないでしょ、今回は。
Why hide? And what would we do once we were in her hideout? We're not here to steal anything.
後ろから切りつけるのは 強盗というのじゃなくて？
What about the element of surprise? I think you guys are far past that now.
それができれば苦労はないんだけどね。まあ忍者の真似事は私というかアリスの芸風じゃないでしょ。
If we could do that, it'd make our jobs easier, but playing ninja isn't really my thing. Nor yours, for that matter.
そもそも
And, anyway,
そもそもやる気満々なのはこっちもあっちも同じってこと。
anyway, we're not the only ones out for blood tonight. The sound of their footsteps stopped in unison. The old forgotten Masaki High School building stood before them. What used to be the schoolyard was now a barren snowscape. Reclaimed by the forest, the building looked a shell of its former self. The surrounding trees resembled standing mourners at a funeral.
せっかちなお嬢さん方だ。タイムリミットまであと4時間はあるというのに。
Talk about impatient. There's still 4 hours until the time limit. Alone in the middle of the white altar was the lone, scarred red mage. As she came out from the forest, Aoko lowered herself slightly, scowling at her distant target. Next to her, Alice stood motionless. Is there a reason why Toko and Toko and Aoko's eyes are two different colors? Like, I understand, like, I mean, me and my siblings, we all have brown eyes. That's just because our parents have brown eyes as well. So that means one of their parents had blue eyes and then one had red eyes. Or brown eyes, at least. Or russet. Whatever the fuck her eye color is. It's like a reddish brown. The bare branches of the trees cast long, thorny shadows. Aoko was reminded of Sleeping Beauty, except this mage was nearly as pleasant as the princess in that. Not to mention, she wasn't sleeping, and there was no prince. Regardless, this princess came out of her schoolhouse castle to greet her challengers.
その体で無理をして。
Pushing yourself in that condition?
あなたのそういうところ、姉としてどうかと思うわ、青子。
You do make your big sister worry, Aoko. Toko grinned faintly. Aoko fought back the urge to respond. Meanwhile, Alice stood in silence, uninterested in sibling rivalry. Toko stood about 100 feet away. With their senses sharpened through magecraft and the silence of the forest, they could hear each other perfectly. The golden wolf was nowhere to be seen. Toko faced the two girls alone. Alice's black overcoat and the winter hat were typical items of clothing for a mage battle. Really? Okay. A few paces in front of her was Aoko, whose combat garb was comparatively out of place, a Masaki High School uniform. She had asked Alice to bring a change of clothes for her, but there must have been some misunderstanding. Though it was trivial miscommunication, Toko seemed to think it had a special meaning.
ところで、始める前に一ついいかな。
Before we start, mind if I ask something? And she was like, what? Why are you wearing that? It's fucking cold out here, alright? I'm wearing fucking pantyhose and I'm already regretting this decision.
気になって仕方がないし、この先機会もないだろうから聞くんだけど。あなたの戦闘服ってそれなの？青子。
I can't help but be curious, and this is probably my last chance to ask. But is that seriously? Oh, but is that seriously what you're going to fight in, Alko? Toko spoke clearly, and despite the distance, was able to communicate her deep-seated scorn without trouble. Alko would rather attack than engage in small talk, but she decided to take the bait.
そんなわけないでしょ。今までこういう機会が多かっただけよ。数えるなら今日を含めて4回しかないわ。
Don't lie. You had plenty of chances to ask me. 4 times, including today.
私はまだ現役だから、それも悪くはないかもしれないけど。いつか流行るでしょ、こういうのも。
Well, this is my job right now, so I think it's fitting. Besides, my fashion's ahead of the times. Alko was sure to emphasize her words. For a split second, Toko's eyes narrowed.
呆れたな。相変わらずのローセンスだ。
Figures. Same bad taste as always.
それはどうも。人形を実の妹に見立てる異常者にそう言われるなら、一周回って安心よ。
Thanks. It's actually a relief hearing that from a creepy puppet maker. With that, the two fell silent and glared at each other. Their bloodlust cut through the thick, cold air like a knife. While the two of them sized each other up, Alice surveyed the area around Toko. There was no indication anyone or anything was lying in wait near her. Perhaps she should see if the werewolf was still in the old school building. I would highly advise against that, Alice. Maybe Toko didn't feel like Aoko and Alice were much of a threat in their injured state. Or was she really not expecting a counterattack so early, so the werewolf wasn't ready? After some contemplation, Alice surmised it was the former. She was really going to fight alone. Her arsenal comprised her mystic eyes and rune magecraft. That was more than enough to deal with Aoko and Alice in their current state. Alice, all I need is one shot. Aoko signaled to Alice behind her with the movement of her finger. Alice had no objections. The original plan was to keep her. The original plan was for her to keep the werewolf busy. With the mirror as backup, Aoko was hoping to catch Toko off guard. They had a few other cards up their sleeves, but the fact remained that as mages, their attacks wouldn't affect the werewolf. So they decided to ignore it and focus on taking out Toko. Not the best strategy, but it was all the two of them could come up with. But they had been thrown a curveball. Toko had the upper hand, so she was reluctant to use the beast. Aoko wasn't about to let this opportunity go to waste. By distracting her with sibling banner, she would settle things before the werewolf even showed up.
じゃあ、今度はこっちの番ね。
Well, it's my turn to ask a question.
どう？結界の張り直しは進んでる？
How are the fields working out?
まさか、昨日の今日よ。まだ手をつけてもいない。せいてはことを仕んじる。
Oh, please. It's barely been a day. I haven't touched them yet. You can't rush these things.
だいたい、私の目的は霊脈の奥にあるもので、結界そのものじゃない。張り直しは予定にないさ。
Besides, I want what's inside the ley lines, not the bounded fields, so I have no plans to reset them.
まあ、土地を暴くなんて面倒な真似をするより、お前を暴いた方が早いのかもしれないが。
Tearing into you is probably a faster way than tearing into the land anyway.
やっぱりそれが目的だったのね。
I knew it.
ならなおのこと。あんたを魔法使いにするわけにはいかないわ。
All the more reason I can't let you become a magician. Aoko's blue eyes burned brightly with a fiery fighting spirit. Even though her sister was ready to pounce, Toko remained motionless, but for her mouth, which twisted into a smirk.
魔法使いか。確かにまだ執着はあるね。
A magician, huh? I gotta admit, I like the sound of that.
私には移植されなかった魔術刻印と青崎の伝える魔法の正体。
The magic crests that weren't implanted in me, and the true magic of the Ozaki family.
だがもういいよ。惜しくはあるが、到達すればどちらも自分で用意できる。
But it's fine. I do want them, but I can get them on my own.
それとも、今ここで、私のために魔法の正体を見せてくれるのかい？青子。
Oh. Wait. Did you come here to show me your magic, Aoko? Toko's words came out flatly, but her eyes mocked her sister. It was true, however, that if Aoko wanted to defeat Toko, her best chance would have to use this mysterious true magic. Wait, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Did they say Aoko had true magic? I know they talked about the family, but I don't. Did they mention that she had that shit too? Because I know she talked to Sojiro about it, unless this was something that they decided to talk about in one of the archive stories, but I haven't read them since the last few. The only problem was that she couldn't. If she could, she would have used it to avoid being mauled last night. Aoko Ozaki couldn't use true magic. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Toko believed she needed to fulfill some kind of condition. The protection their grandfather placed on the formula was to prohibit miracles from being so easily realized. However, that wasn't because he was concerned about the human world. It was no exaggeration to say that he felt nothing if magic leveled the entire city. The truth was, true magic never had any conditions. Aoko was being held back by trauma. These 5 privileges, the only powers of their kind, were bound by cognitive seals. That's why Toko looked down on her naive little sister. So weak, a body incapable of handling magic could be cut down with a mere sword. Aoko knew that better than anyone else, which is why she couldn't forgive her sister's ridicule. Just try using true magic? Huh? A pathetic taunt. If that was how she wanted to play, then so be it. Fine. Have it your way. With a burst of pure rage, Aoko made her move. Her colorless shoes sped across the untainted snowfield. Snowfield. I don't know why I said it like that. Snowfield, not snow. I don't know why I separated the words. Like a stone skipping across the water. Aoko charged forward. She disappeared. As. Only her footsteps advanced, like bullet holes in the snow. Toko held her ground. Concealment was elementary magecraft. More than likely, the power came from one of Alice's trinkets. It was a simple yet effective countermeasure to mystic eyes. Oh, hold on. Hi, buddy. My doggy. There you go. Lay down on the bed. And I just showed up out of nowhere. Then I just dropped my controller. Toko's mystic eyes used the lock property to bind an opponent. It did not have the logos property to discern truth through an illusion. I almost read that as Legos. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Once the magecraft's workings were revealed, its weakness was exposed. Still the same sloppy footwork. In a mere 4 seconds, her opponent had closed 10 yards and was still speeding up. It appeared that she had given up on a mage battle and was going to move in for melee. The other girl, Alice Kuonji, did not take a single step. A suicide charge? Open to friendly fire from the rear. Even with Alice's protection, this is dumb. You'll regret this, Aoko. Your trump card has to come from your own deck. Sneering, Toko raised her left arm, holding it in front of her, threateningly. 10 more yards. Unfortunately, her footsteps gave away her position. So, Toko began engraving a rune into the air. But before she could finish, Aoko's footprint stopped. She was still too far away for close combat. What a strange place to end her attack. No, wait. Could she really stop so suddenly at that speed? She jumped. Toko made a snap decision. She quickly raised her outstretched arm toward the sky as if saluting the moon. Flames tore through the air. The rune carved into the body above her, bathing it in a pillar of flames. No eternal resistance spell could help. There we go. Man. Rather than simply burning their target, the runes wrapped around them in a wreath of flame. The assailant screamed, falling into the snow-covered ground. In agony, she extended a burning hand from the hellish fire, as if begging for mercy. It was the stuff of nightmares. The snow melted as the fire burned the attacker alive. Chirp, chirp. The movement was far too theatrical to be Aoko. Toko had already turned her gaze to Alice. She hadn't been watching the burning corpse at all. Toko knew it wasn't Aoko from the moment the body fell to the ground. Another dumb Meinster familiar? Irritated, Toko glared at Alice. While Aoko had vanished into thin air, she hadn't moved at all. Blue energy traced a circle around where she stood. It was forced to fourth, a 4-bar grand magecraft mobilizing her magic crest. Toko only had single action runes. No, she hadn't mastered anything above 2 bars to begin with. This torrent of energy was too much to handle. The rune formed in the magic circle. Awaz, the rune of withdrawal, was evoked and Aoko's concealment was undone, allowing Toko to utilize her mystic eyes. With her open pupil, she infinitely mirrored her eyes, captured their target in an endless hell. But the mage's sight was literally split in two. The space in front of Aoko distorted, obscuring her form like an icy mist. If Toko's eyes were like opposing mirrors, then this was like sticking a one-way mirror in at the triangulation point. Damn. With her vision split in two, she couldn't lock onto Aoko.
御水の鏡の効果よ、トウコさん。
The mirror of slumber, Toko.
青子は鏡の Y 字路の奥にいる。一本道から見ているあなたに中心は見渡せない。
Aoko's deep in the fork in the road the mirror creates. From where you are, you'll never be able to see her. Alice explained without concern. Due to the herb Toko made Alice swallow, she was still unable to use her own magecraft. However, she could use ploys already in motion without using magical energy, such as the mansion's mirror and the aimless little blue bird. Finally, the magic bullet was loaded.
セット、ルート、ディレクトカーラット。
Raising her right arm to reveal her luminescent crest, Aoko took aim at her target 100 feet ahead. Magical energy coursed through her gun barrel arm. For the moment she had received Aoko's invisibility, Aoko, there you go, wrong sister, had begun chanting her magecraft. It took Toko a few seconds to notice. Aoko produced more spins in the awakened magic circuits than she had ever done before. She ready not snap, nor draw. Instead, she advanced past her third process, a compression of magical energy, magic blow. As she fired the blue ether that gathered before her, it would fly with the force of 10 tons. Using her magic crest to multiply the energy and machine gun her target, it was enough power to demolish even the old building behind her.
Taka!
Aoko stared intensely at her sister, ready to fire. Toko had no time to counterattack, or even evade, or even the speed to evade. The fact that she didn't move implies she knew better than anyone. Acceptance filled her eyes, not fear. Aoko did not hesitate. She squeezed the trigger on her right hand.
ツアープラン、スターマイン、カイロ、放て!
Magic bullet configuration, convergent launch, circuit, fire. The last word came out like a scream. Under the impact of the ether, the surrounding snow melted and flew all around. And then the wolf comes and he's like, hey, what's up, fuckers? I'm telling you that's always going to happen. Toko was engulfed in dirt. No way she could survive Aoko's magic bullet. It contained every bit of Aoko's magical energy she could muster. Viewing the chaos, Aoko confirmed her victory. And yet somehow she felt bitter. But then, choosing to deal with the torrent of magical energy she swallowed up later, Toko toted at Aoko's childness. Her disappointment was so deep, it bordered on despair. Yep, there it is.
学ぶにしては遅すぎたが、
Oh, that's
まあ
something
聞い
different.
ておけ青子。
It's a little too late now, but listen up anyway, Aoko.
切り札というものは先に出した方の負けなんだよ。
Never play your trump card first. You'll lose. Her voice cold and aloof, she was completely unscathed. The mage stood in a snowfield, not a single speck of dirt on her overcoat. Just before the bullet reached Toko, she deflected it with magical energy of the same level. Aoko could only stare at the scene before her. The negation of her magecraft hadn't shocked her though. Leaf-like objects floated behind her sister. Aoko stared like she was living a nightmare. Countless magic crests poured from Toko's back. It all happened in an instant. The magic bullet approaching like a tsunami, Toko lightly snapped her fingers, causing a stream of letters to rush out from behind her. Text became art. Golden flowers bloomed. There must have been hundreds. All sorts of magecraft from even beyond Western Europe. The kind normally carved into the flesh of a mage. The kind of Toko Aozaki shouldn't possess. The kind only followers of those schools should know. Blooming magic crest, brighter than the moon. Like some like black magic type shit. So I mean, it's like, I mean the way they worded it, the kind only followers of those schools should know, like what, black magic? You know, some shit like that. Because I mean, fuck, if we got this, if true magic is this, then yeah, black magic's a real thing. Come on now, especially in this world. Inscribed in the air, they formed a totem pole, a guardian beast to protect Toko.
と、まあこういうわけだ。ベオだけに頼ってはいないことがよくわかったろ？
Now you see, I don't need to rely on just Bayo. Toko's expression was steely. Victory was in her grasp, and there was no room to rest on her laurels.
姿を隠したのは鏡の応用か。
So, it was the mirror that concealed you.
探知や隔離だけでなく、援護まで行えるとはね。
You used it to detect, capture, and act as backup. Impressive.
三大のプロイには含まれないものの、汎用性の面で言えば、あれも破格のプロイだな。
Not quite one of the great three, but a versatile and, might I add, exceptional ploy.
持ち上げるじゃない。何？騙された負け惜しみ？
Quit patronizing us. You're just upset you got duped.
いや、ただの自画自賛だよ。
No, not at all. I'm just giving credit to where credit's due.
何しろ今のバージョンは、私とマインスターの合作だ。趣味に興じすぎてあれこれと機能を足してしまったと、今更ながら悔いているところさ。
It was me who worked with Mindster on the thing in the first place. I'm just kind of annoyed that someone got carried away and couldn't help but add functions to it.
その後、青子に見せかけて私に向かってきたのは、例のコマ取り。それに気を取られている間の大規模な魔術の発動。
And then little Robin, coming at me disguised as you. You used it to distract me while you charged up your huge attack.
私の魔眼はアリスが防ぎ、青子は攻撃だけに専念する。組み立ては悪くはない。 よくやったと言っておくよ。
Alice avoided my mystic eyes while you focused on offense. Not a bad plan. You know, all in all, you did pretty well. Toko recounted their strategy, sharing her impressions as she went. Aoko could not take off Toko's blooming magic crest. Only Alice was paying close attention to Toko's words.
しかし、それもここまでだ。
Well, I'm afraid this is the end of the line.
惜しいな、青子。わずか2年であれだけの魔術を使えるのなら、あと数年もすれば一流の車種になっていただろうに。
It's such a shame, Aoko. I can't believe you're still using such magecraft after 2 years. You could have become a world-class marksman. Toko snapped her fingers again. The floating crest began to glow more brightly.
アリス、あれは何？
Alice. What are those? Aoko whispered to Alice, standing next to her as she held her hand. She could not risk turning around. The second she took her eyes off Toko, the fight would be over.
見ての通り、魔術刻印よ。信じられないけど。
As you can see, they're magic crests, as hard as it is to believe. Alice's voice was filled with utter shock and discomfort. Aoko shared Alice's sentiment. Magic crests were passed down through a family line and took unique forms. At heart, they were merely personalized inscriptions, and technically no different from grimoires. However, the reality was far different. Magecraft have no set form. Without a set shape, the ability to recreate mystics was itself flawed. To craft it from a form required an immeasurable investment of time and devotion. Magic crests were the crystallization of a family's desires and ambition, and proof of a successor's lineage. Crests had no effect on their own, but they were the ultimate symbol of a family. If no mage was willing to imbue themselves with the crest, or lacked the resolve to merge with it, then the crest's meaning was lost. That was the key difference between a crest and a mere spellbook. Crests were not meant to be shared, and imitating them was pointless. It only stood to reason, then, that if even the crest manifesting behind Toko belonged to someone else, only the original owner could benefit from them.
でも、確かに私の魔弾は、あの刻印からの魔術で弾かれた。あれは、もしかすると。
Those crests had to be what's deflecting my magic bullets. Don't tell me. She's... Searching for answers, Aoko squinted her eyes as she glared at Toko. She knew that copying a crest had no purpose. Only the original inheritor could invoke one. There was only one possible conclusion.
そう。肌に刻まず中空に浮かべてるのは、そういうこと。
I see. If they aren't inscribed on your skin and just floating in air. Aoko spat a curse at her sister. Toko nodded, pleased at her enemy's quick wit.
ああ、この体には合わないのでな。私の背後の空間に固定している。
The crests don't suit my body, so I fixed them into the space behind me.
本当はね、お前たちのように肉に刻んだ方がいいんだ。魔術の起動が一動作で済むんだから。
Of course, crests like yours that have been engraved into the flesh are much better because they can be activated in one go. So wait, what the fuck? Magic crests are... It's like scarification? But instead of having a scar, it's a crest? But we... Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought it was more like a, you know, like soul type thing. But I guess it makes sense that it's inscribed into your flesh. Sure.
だが実際に使用するのなら、こうするしかない。
For me, though, this was the only way.
起動までの手順は一つ増えるが、何？マイナスばかりでもない。所詮は人事なんでね。痛みは全く感じない。
And while I do not need to perform an extra step to activate them, and while I do need to perform an extra step to activate them, they're not mine, so I don't feel any pain. So she just straight up stole someone's skin? If that's what they're implying? And it seemed neither physically nor mentally. Alko knew her sister was inhuman, but she never thought she would go this far.
会うわけないじゃない。他人の魔術刻印を剥がしてるんだから、血筋の称号からして馴染むはずがないわ。
Well, you're right about them not suiting you. You stole them from someone else, so your bloodline can never catch up.
で、
Which means,
奪われた連中は死ぬこともできず、今もどこかに生かされているわけだ。刻印の持ち主が死んだら起動すらできないものね、それ。
the person or persons you stole from them can't die, so you must have them locked up somewhere. If they can't die, you can't activate their crest.
瞳子さん、あなた。
Huh. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna go off on a little theory here. You know how Sojiro has those bandages on his neck? Could that be a thing? Could that be something? Could that be his? I doubt it. Again, this is just like a something I literally just came up on the spot, but because we've always seen him with the the collar and the bandages around his neck, but we don't know what the hell's underneath the bandages of his neck. It could either just be like a scar from him getting attacked by an animal, or they could be a magic crest. Who knows? We might find out. Okay, back to the story. Yeah, now that'd be crazy because in order for Toko to lose that means they would have to kill that person. And if Sojiro is that person, that'd be crazy. Dude, if I called that shit right now, that is the craziest shit. All right, here we go. Back to the story. Toko, you.
非難される覚えはないんだが。
I don't remember anyone complaining.
私はかかる火の粉を払っただけだよ。向こうから戦いを挑んできたんだから、戦利品ぐらいは用意してもらわないと。
They were asking for it. They should have been better prepared if they wanted to face me.
まあ、中にはつまらない単語を口にしたバカ者もいるが、それはそれだ。
There were some rather rude fools who used questionable language.
むしろ優しいと思うけどね。私を殺しに来た連中をわざわざ生かしてあげてるんだから。
But I think I've been quite kind, really. They came to kill me, and I let them live.
その魔術師たちがちゃんと人間の形をしてることを祈るわ。肉親として。
Really? As a fellow mage, I can only hope they're okay.
お前ね、私を何だと思ってるんだ。
You're probably wondering what I've done to them.
脳だけ保存とか、面倒だから100人ひとまとめにした肉塊とか、そんな手抜きなんぞするものか。
Has she preserved their brains? Or maybe she just lumped them up in a ball of flesh. As if I'd do that.
きちんとカフェを用意して、食事も娯楽も睡眠も自由に提供してるんだぞ。中には一生ここで暮らしたいなんて騒ぎ立てるバカもいるぐらいだ。
I built them a cafe and provided plenty of food, entertainment, sleep, and freedom. Some of them even said they wanted to live like that forever. Toko's words were hardly believable, but it was clear her crests weren't copies. Alice's scowl deepened. What Toko had described had been no discernible benefit in her mind. Why had she gone to trouble to stealing other mages' crests? It would have been more efficient to break down the crest into components and make replicas. For a skilled puppeteer like Toko, she could have made a much more powerful puppet with those crests. It would have made a pawn loyal to her every command at that, much more useful than any enslaved mage.
なんでそんなことを。
Why, Toko? Hold on real quick. I'm gonna go get some water. Alright, and I'm back. Sorry about that. Just had to go get some more water. I ran out. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did turn up the music just a little bit. I mean, you could probably hear it in the background, but maybe not over my talking. I might turn it up for the next one because YouTube's a little strict when it comes to copyrighted music. So, all right, back to the story. Why, Toko?
そういう人なのよ、姉貴は。これで行くと決めたらそれしか目に入らない人なの。家庭より結果の人なの。
That's Toko for you. Once she decides to do something, that's it. Everything's a means to an end.
ある日の話よ。テレビでピザの CM をやっててさ。 私たちは唐突にあのデブ食を食べたくなった。
Listen to this. One time, we were watching TV and a pizza commercial came on. We both really wanted to eat something greasy.
でも悲しいかな。一般家庭であるうちにあったのはサラミだけ。
Unfortunately, our super boring family only had the pepperoni. I don't know, pepperoni pizza can be fucking greasy, dog. That's why it's not really my go-to pizza. Cause like I like pepperoni every once in a while, but like, dog, you want to talk about fucking greasy, bro? That's greasy, man.
うちの実家、山奥にあるの知ってるでしょ。
You know my house is on top of that big hill, right?
町まで行くのに1時間はかかる。中学1年だった私は我慢できなくて町まで行ったけど、ピザ屋なんか一軒もなくてとぼとぼ帰ったの。
Getting to the city took an hour, but I just had to have that pizza. So I walked it. Could I find a pizza place? Nope. So I just walked home empty-handed. It was the tragedy of living on the countryside. Misaki, which had only recently gotten a conveyor belt sushi restaurant, would not see a pizzeria for another 2 years.
なのに
Then, when I got home, hungry and tired,
骨折り損で家に帰ったら、姉貴のやつ、おかえりとか手を振ってピザ食べてやがったのよ。
my damn sister waved at me, all welcome back, with a big slice of pizza hanging from her stupid face.
おせんべいを下地にしてみたわとか言って。
She was like, I tried using rice crackers as a base.
外見たら鳥3羽と牛1頭丸々消えてて、ああこの女には10日交換とか手間とかお金の問題とかそういうの一切頭にないんだって思い知らされたわ。
When I looked outside, 3 chickens and 1 cow were gone. That's when I realized she had no concept of the value of money, hard work, or fairness. Dog, did she kill 3 chickens and 1 cow for a fucking pizza? You could probably just use 1 chicken. Like, I don't know. That's just me. I feel like a normal cheese pizza doesn't have chicken in it. What the hell? Alice agreed that was pretty crazy.
そんな無茶なやつだからガンド打ちで目に見える傷跡を出そうなんて平気で考えるのよね。
Stupid shit like that means I'm perfectly fine with putting a hole through her chest with a grander shot.
あんなのゲマトリア一節分の栄唱で同じ効果を出せるのに、あくまで呪術にこだわるから空も飛べない人形になるのよ、バカ兄貴。
I mean, she could have just chanted a single verse from the Gematria to get the same effect, but no. She was so obsessed with curses, she made a puppet that can't even fly. The thought of a puppet, the puppet double, fuck. The thought of the puppet fuck. Forgive me. The thought of the puppet doppelganger made her blood boil. There you go. It was clear that now that Toko had done it on purpose to annoy her. Toko furrowed her eyebrows at Aoko's verbal assault. She had been stoic up until now, but speaking rudely about her prized puppet was crossing the line.
その人形に追い詰められたのはお前だったね。
If I recall, that puppet had you on the ropes.
それとゲマトリアはカバラの秘術だ。私はルーン専門だからお前のように広く浅く知識を広める気はないよ。
And for your information, Gematria numerology is a Kabbalah secret. I'm a rune specialist, so I don't need to learn anything and everything like you do.
まあもっとも
Well, I did learn something.
この刻印の所有者の一人からケルトの結界を教わりはしたがね。
One owner of these crests taught me about Celtic bounded fields. Or Celtic, if you want to be that guy. Toko looked to the crest over her left shoulder. Its shine was ever radiant, proving that this magecraft was active.
これは城で祖父を封じ込めるのに使っていてね。
I used this castle to seal away grandfather.
犯人汎用のドルイド層を閉じ込めたとまではいかないが、そうだな。私では郵便ポストぐらいの大きさが限界か。
I trapped that half yokai druid monk into a tower. Well, when I say tower, Well, I say tower, but it's closer to the size of a mailbox.
ほら、昔お前が壊した赤いポスト。ちょうどあれぐらいの可愛い鳥小屋だよ。
Like the little red mailbox you broke, remember? About that big, but it's a cute little bird cage.
人間一人分をしまうには窮屈だろうが、祖父は肉体というより霊体に近い。見ようによっては、そっちの方がふさわしいかもしれないね。
A bit cramped for one person, but grandfather's more spirit than body, so I guess it's more appropriate for him anyway. Toko stifled a sinister laughter, her explanation chilling. Her cold veneer seemed to slip slightly when it came to her grandfather. Her smile betraying the long-festering hatred she still clung to.
そういったわけでね。さっきの青子の魔術を防いだので、この刻印もしばらくは使用不能なんだ。
Anyway, because I blocked your attack, I can't use this crest for a while.
今のが本当の魔法だったなら、わずか3行の刻印では打ち消せなかっただろうに。
Though,
青子、お前は僅差で負けたんだ。
sorry, I didn't
恥じ
mean
る
to
ことは
interrupt you
な
there.
いよ。
Though, if you used true magic, a 3-line crest wouldn't have countered it. But you only lost by a slight margin, Aoko. You should be proud.
じゃあ、そろそろ終わりにしよう。
Right then, let's wrap this up.
抵抗をするのは自由だが、ベオ相手にそれは辛いぞ。
Feel free to fight back, but remember, you're against Bayo. Tako snapped her fingers one more time. The golden werewolf was hiding in the old school building. The signal to him echoed eerily through the surrounding woods. Before the echo stopped, Aoko shouted back at Alice.
行ってアリス
Alice, go! The order sounded like a reprimand, but Alice silently obeyed. Without hesitation, she left Aoko behind to handle Toko and made for the forest. If defeat was inevitable, it would be pointless for both of them to die. If one of them could survive, there could be a round 3. That was why Aoko decided to be the sacrificial pawn.
トーコ自身の切り札も分かったし、アリスが本調子になれば勝てない相手じゃないものね。
Now we know what Toko's trump card is. If Alice can get back to normal, she'll stand a chance. Aoko muttered bitterly to herself as Alice's feet crunched through the snow. Instead of cursing her own death, she cursed the fact that she would not see Alice defeat Toko. For what else was there to curse except this? Alice disappeared into the forest. Feeling her fellow mage's presence fade, Aoko continued to glare at her sister.
いつまでじらす気？私、待たされるのは好きじゃないんだけど。
How long do you plan to drag this out? You know I hate it when people make me wait. Speaking of waiting, the werewolf Toko had called was nowhere to be seen. It should have not taken him more than a few seconds to come flying out of the school building.
そうせくな。今赤ずきんを追っているところだ。
What's the big hurry? He's after Little Red Riding Hood for the time being.
黒帽子の彼女をそう例えるのはやや無理があるがね。
Or rather, Little Black Hat to force the metaphor. Her tone reeked of irony. Those words traveled aimlessly across the schoolyard like a rambling announcement. Aoko stood frozen and dumbfounded. Everything Toko was saying seemed so far away from reality. Aoko was done being fooled, so she turned around. The moonlight shining off the fallen snow allowed her face to see far into the forest. From the white darkness, a lone boy came into view, walking toward her. He could have not been any taller than Aoko's chest, but he carried Alice over his shoulder with ease. As if she was nothing, he tossed her body upward. She arched through the air for several feet before dropping headfirst before Aoko's eyes. Her neck would snap on impact. Even though she was wiser not to, Aoko reached out and caught her. Alice's light body weighed heavily as she fell into Aoko's arm. The stitches on her wound tore, dyeing Aoko's arms crimson. Aoko gritted her teeth, fighting the pain that shot through her body and the sensation of warm blood.
アリス、無事？
Alice, are you still... Alice did not respond, but Aoko could see she was still at least conscious. The werewolf must have ambushed her right after she ran into the woods. Alice bled heavily from where the wolf tore her abdomen last night, just like he had done to Aoko.
初めから森に潜ませていたとはね。
You were hiding in the woods this entire time. Cursing her own carelessness, she gently laid Alice's body down. Set her sights on the blonde-haired boy, her new target.
つまり、あれよね。
So, that's how it is, huh?
甘く見ていたふりで、初めから余裕なかったんだ。
A wolf in a little boy's clothing. Even in the face of Aoko's rage, he did not stop smirking. He stared back at the girls, eyes gleaming, twinkling with excitement at the brutality to come. The blonde hair and green eyes she saw last night, his effeminate features now, seemed like ethereal, like he had changed into a being from another planet.
ベオ、今日は食っていいぞ。
You'll feast tonight, Bayo. Toko's voice echoed from afar. The boy grin broadened. Nobody could have expected what came next. Aoko rushed headfirst at the boy. Faster than the robin decoy, she sped, blood dripping from both arms. Toko watched wide-eyed at the spectacle. Alice could only look on with vacant eyes as she lay helplessly on the ground. The werewolf boy was caught off guard by the prey becoming predator. Just fucking wallops that kid in the face. Oh no, she's about to kick the kid in the face. Aoko crossed a 20-foot gap in a second before planting a foot in the snow. It arrested her momentum and pivoted her body like a top. Even if he instantly understood what was coming, the boy would not be able to dodge in time. The neck! Using the momentum from her sprint, she pushed her leg into the ground and sprang up. With deadly timing, her roundhouse kick swung in a wide arc towards the boy's neck, sending an explosion of force into his brainstem. Damn, he fucking took that like a champ. It was an expert display of martial arts, strengthening by magical energy. She had gotten the hang of close combat while fighting Toko's puppets. The violent kick was powerful enough to shatter a tree trunk. The boy did not move. Aoko's right shin connected firmly and stopped. A shockwave rippled through his neck. It was the same feedback Aoko had felt when she destroyed the puppet. Even if he wasn't defeated, she had to have severely damaged his spine. God, what if that was it? That's all. Like this, he's so powerful that magic can't hurt him, but a single kick to the neck is what takes him down. That'd be crazy. That'd be anticlimactic as fuck. As she looked down at him to confirm her kill, the boy simply stared back at her, not even bothering to twitch an eyebrow.
お姉さんの右足は確か噛み切った方だ。それで首を狙ったのはすごいよね。女の人は本能的に自分の体をかばうものだってトウコさんは言ってたのに。
That must be the leg I bit. I can't believe you went for my neck like that. I mean, wow. Miss Toko said that girls instinctively try to spare their own bodies.
けど残念。せっかくの勇気も無駄でした。僕の体毛の質はこの姿でも変わらない。産毛だけでもお姉さんの蹴りを受け止めることはできる。
It was a valiant move, but you wasted it. My hair is as strong as when I'm a wolf. Even my peach fuzz can stop your kick. The only one hurt between the two was Aoko. The leg she had lodged into his neck was totally numb, like it had been chopped off with a hatchet.
それに少しだけ迷いがあったな。くっつけたばっかりの足だからかばったでしょ。
You held back a bit too, right? You wanted to protect your leg, I guess.
人間が僕の相手をするならそんなこと気にしちゃいけないのに。
Humans need to forget that kind of thing when fighting me.
ああ、でも。
Still. The boy smiled, basking at Aoko's shock and awe. Her leg, she cannot free her leg. Just got that shit trapped between his neck and his shoulder. No doubt as soon as she regained her footing, he would tear her stomach open.
どっちにしろミンチだから気にしても仕方がないよね。
Well, you're mincemeat anyways, so I guess it doesn't matter.
ほら、もったいない。せっかく治ったばかりなのに。
See, What a waste. And it just healed up too. Aoko was not sure, but it felt like he had sunk his finger into the flesh of her right leg. He was right about her leg. She had barely had any feeling in it. It had been completely paralyzed after the last attack, and now was back at the same horrid state. Kind of looks like Mario, doesn't he? From fucking from Tsukihime. Just with like more disheveled hair. And not part of the church. And a werewolf. Except this time, instead of being torn to pieces, it had been crushed to the bone. Her right leg might have been numb, but it just took what fuck? But it just looked what? But just the look of it was enough to horrify her. The way it crumpled, all that blood. There we go. Any normal person would have died from shock. As if thinking about someone else, Aoko considered how cruel Magic Crest could be.
あれまだ目が死んでない。
Huh? Still some life in your eyes. I don't really want to torture you. You should drop the act. The boy thrust his hand into Aoko's chest. Her consciousness flickered from the sudden pain of a stake. No, a child's fist piercing her torso. The scenery flew by. She soared through the air like a rag doll tossed away by a bored child. Just like Alice a moment ago, she tumbled through the air and hit the ground hard. Her right leg was crushed. Her chest caved in. It was as if her heart had been scooped out of her chest. Each gasp of breath left her wanting more. Was this what it was like to see stars? The terrifying part was the pain. It never let up. Despite trying to suck in oxygen, she could still feel his fist. Leisurely, the boy strolled across the snow towards Aoko's broken body, his red tongue gliding over his lips. He stared at his prey, who desperately tried to breathe, his eyes filled with glee. Aoko bit down the temptation to drift away, even though she could find no reason to fight on. The snow had broken her fall slightly, but her death was all but certain. The fist-sized crater in her chest and her mangled leg made sure of that. Even though she knew Aoko was a broken mess, her magic crest frantically worked to resuscitate her heart. But why? What? The sight of Toko in the distance was the only thing that kept her conscious. Her sister looked surprised for some reason, like she was witnessing some strange phenomenon that wasn't like her. Wondering what it was, Aoko tried to stay conscious. What's happening? Feebly, trying to raise her head, she looked to where Toko was staring. Why did she look like that when she was so close to victory? Is it the boy Sojiro? Well, if it is, we're going to have to find out till next time. So, that's going to be the end of today's video, you guys. Let's do a nice little quick save. Whew, finally got to the big fight. Well, fight is a, I guess is a word for it. It was like 2 attacks and then a kid showed up and fucked everybody up, so. So that's going to be it for today's video, you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. And if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. It is your boy White Album. I will see you guys next time.